Letting go. In your life, there are going to be many times and many things where you have to let go and just move on. Letting go for most of us is very difficult because whatever the situation is, or if it's a person, even if things aren't good or not working well in the situation or with the person, we want to hang on to it because it's familiar. Even though it may be very uncomfortable, it may be causing us stress, excuse me, it may be causing us discomfort, it may be a distraction, it may be holding us back from reaching our goals. If you have goals, you should have goals, written goals. Less than 1% of the people have written goals. So to move ahead in life, we have to be willing to let go of the past. And if it's something that's not working well for you or not actually moving you forward, then you're holding on to the past and you need to let go. How do I know this? Because I've held on to things many times, much longer than I should have. And it keeps you from getting something new or embracing something new. Life is about change. Everything is changing. You're changing. Your physical body is not the same physical body you had, I think, 6 months ago. It's changed completely. You're growing older from the day you're born. That's not a negative thing. It's just part of life. If you believe that this body is all there is, it can be very depressing. So if you believe that there's more to you than this body, or this body is just the house you live in, then you realize that this too shall change and pass away, but you will still exist. I'm not sure what your beliefs are. You can choose to believe whatever you want to. But why not believe something that empowers you? Something that moves you forward, something that gives you courage and strength instead of fear or depression. I know it's very difficult sometimes to let go, especially of past relationships, whether they be intimate relationships with your significant other or whether they be friendships. But as you grow, people will come and go into your life. They're here for a season and a reason. I had good friends that I grew up with. Some have passed on now. Some of them we parted ways as we got into our 20s. When I started boxing at 20 years old, excuse me, I had to walk away from my past friendships because they were all still partying and drinking and smoking weed and doing drugs. And I noticed when I was in the group and I passed up on the joint as it went around that some of them would almost act like they were angry with me. And I would hear rumors, some of them were saying he thinks he's too good for us. So I eventually moved away from that town and went back to the town where I was born. And even to this day, some of those guys don't act like, they don't share, how do I say, as long as I was doing what they were doing, I was their friend. But when I started to do something different, most of them didn't really want anything to do with me, nor did they want to encourage me to be better or congratulate me if I had a victory. So sometimes you find out who your true friends are, and you find out who really is just hanging with you because you guys have something in common. Your true friends will be there for you, regardless of whether you drink with them, don't drink with them, do drugs with them, don't do drugs with them. Many people, when they want to break away from that party world, are afraid that they won't have any friends. Or they're afraid that their friends will continue to try to get them to smoke and drink and party. But if you truly change on the inside, these people will drop away and you will meet new people, unless you continue to go back to those old people and try to keep those friendships going. But that is not congruent with the change you desire in your life. And it's the same way with the intimate relationships. I've done this, I'm guilty of this. Many times after the relationship is over, I'll keep going back. For me, I think it's an ego thing to see if I could still have them. Well, usually what happens is for me, I'll walk away because I know things aren't good. And then they contact me later on down the road. And then I'll go back and I'll be with them a couple times. But it's never the same. And it's like, well, then I have to walk away eventually and let it go completely and just cut it off. I remember in my earlier years, I dated a girl. She was a great girl. Actually, she'd only been with one or two guys before me. And then after she broke up with me, she married the next guy she was with. And they've been married ever since, had a family. And I've seen her from time to time. And we're still friends, but not like hanging out and talking to each other all the time. But I consider her a friend. If she needed me, I'd be there for her. I don't know if that'd be vice versa, but she's got a responsibility to her husband and her family, and it's different. I'm single, I can do whatever I want to. I was making a point there, I forgot what it was. Oh, okay, but I remember we broke up after 5 years we were together, and then we got back together 2-3 months or 6 months later, and we were sitting in the car, and we kind of kissed each other, and we just looked at each other and said, it's just not there anymore. It's different, it's just not the same. And it was funny because we both kind of had that realization that it just wasn't the same. I had quit drinking, I was really into boxing, and the whole time I was with her, I was partying, and I was the bad boy, and pretty dishonest too. But she was attracted to that bad boy type. And I had changed from that for a while anyway. I eventually went back to it for quite a few years, and then got out of it when I turned 30. But it's all about change. I went from being the party animal bad boy to the athlete jock type person, and then the Chad, till I was about 30, and then I decided to be a family man, father, husband, for many years. So you're going to have many changes in your life. And as you change, you're going to have to let go of people, places, and things. Sometimes it's a job you have to let go of and walk away from. How many of you have been in a job that you didn't like, the pay was good, but you really wanted to do something differently? But you were comfortable with the amount of money you were getting, it was paying your bills, but yet you felt kind of dead inside. You wanted something different, but you were afraid to take the risk. You were afraid of the unknown. You have to be willing to step off the shore before you can reach distant lands. So many people in life want to achieve greatness, whatever that means to you or to them, but they're not willing to take the risks that great people take. You have to be willing to risk. If you're not willing to risk, you will never reach that distant shore of greatness. As I said, whatever greatness is in your eyes. You have to be willing to fall down. You have to be willing to fail. You have to get out of your comfort zone. The comfort zone is death to a dream. I'm still here today. I'll be 63 this year. I have failed many times. I've felt foolish many times. I felt like I made some stupid mistakes many times. But I've learned from each of those mistakes, and so can you. But guess what? If you don't take those chances and make those mistakes, you will never learn from them. We would be a nation or a world of geniuses if we could all learn from our forefathers. But we continue to make the same mistakes over and over and over again. As in our country, in the U.S. here, our morals have declined rapidly. And if we look back throughout history, what happens when the morals decline, when the morals of the country change? The country implodes. Eventually it self-destructs. We are real, we are really similar to Rome and what happened to Rome. Yeah, so that's a whole nother subject, but you have to be willing to change. You have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to be willing to take risks. You have to be willing to look foolish, to feel foolish, to fall on your face, to get back up, fall on your face again, to get back up, and continue to fall on your face. But as you're falling on your face, guess what? You're moving forward. What's the alternative? To live a life of quiet desperation, as most people live? Or do you want to live a victorious life? To be able to look back on your life, and when you reminisce about it, to be choked up thinking about what a wonderful life you've had. Well, you will never have that unless you take the risks today, unless you're willing to fail. Because it takes the combination of victories, successes, failures, disappointments, disillusionments to have a wonderful life of great memories. And when it's all said and done, when you're unable to do anything anymore, what do you have? If you have all the money in the world and you can travel any place you want to, but you're not able because your health is gone, what do you have? You have your memories. Everything happens in your imagination anyway. And when you remember your life with a perception of greatness, of wonder, of adventure, it gives you a feeling that, well, a feeling of fulfillment that you won't get from anything else. From any drug, any alcohol, any woman, any relationship, any amount of money, any car, lands. The joy truly is in the journey. And I know I preach that all the time. And it took me many years to figure that out. If you're not enjoying today, when you get there, wherever that is, you're not going to enjoy that anymore, because that day will be today always. It's always now. We live in the present moment. Whether that present moment was 2 years ago or 2 years in the future, when it is that time, it's the now. Just like now is the now. Everything you have today is something you wanted yesterday. So if you can't be happy, fulfilled, and satisfied with what you have today, you won't be happy and fulfilled with what you want tomorrow when you get that tomorrow. When tomorrow comes. Tomorrow is now. Tomorrow is today. If you live a good life today and enjoy today, that'll make for a good memory tomorrow. Your life is a list of tomorrows. Everything you've ever wanted is inside of you. You create it all. With your imagination. But when you imagine something you haven't got, you have to be willing to change. I believe in the law of attraction, the secret, all those things. Manifestation. But part of manifestation and imagination is taking the action. And there again, we come back to fear. Because to take that action, you have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to let go of the old, to embrace the new, to allow the new to come into your life. And as I said at the beginning, many people are so afraid to let go of the old, even though it's uncomfortable and they're unhappy and they're miserable, because they don't know what the new is. They don't know what that is. It's changed. It's different. Even though it may be better, they're afraid to let go of the old they don't like, because it's familiar and comfortable. So my recommendation, my suggestion for you today is to let go of the old relationship, the old job, the old way of thinking, the old negative habits, the old resentments, the old regrets, the guilt, the shame, the remorse. You have to be willing to let go of it all to step into a new world. And that world is within you. And when you let go of that, you have room for change. And then your outer world manifests before your eyes because your inner world has changed. Any true change in your outer world must be first preceded by a change in your inner world, or it will be temporary and fleeting. I know that doesn't make sense to some of you, but that's the way it works. It reminds me of the old saying, if you inherit $1 million, you better become a millionaire. What does that mean? That means that more than likely, If you inherit $1 million, it will soon be gone because you do not have the consciousness of a millionaire. So you don't know how to handle that amount of money. Many people think money is the solution to all their problems. Money is not the solution to problems. If you have a problem money can solve, you don't have a problem. I know that seems hard to believe if you're short on funds, and I've been there too. But there again, that solution lies within you. Everything lies within you. You're not a victim to life, you are a victor. But unless you choose to look at it that way, you will continue to be a victim in life. Because that is the state of your consciousness. That is your mentality. You will take actions of a victim. There are no victims. Everything is brought into your life by your thoughts, your dominant thinking. Well, you say, Mark, what about an earthquake or a tornado? Hey, we have tornadoes here, right? I know that. I choose to be here. So if my house would happen to get hit by a tornado, I chose to be here. The crime has risen around here. Do I focus on crime? No, I don't. But if I happen to get robbed or something happens, I made the choice to stay here. Everything is a choice in life. And those choices are made sometimes, well, they say 95% of the time, whoever they are, the infamous they, that 95% of your choices during the day are subconsciously made before you ever take the action to fulfill that choice. It's done by your subconscious mind. You consciously think you're doing it, but you're not really. Your life is guided by your subconscious mind. Think of it as an iceberg. Just a small tip is above the water, but below that is a giant hunk of ice. The same it is with your mind. Your conscious mind is that small tip above the water. But below you, the powerhouse is the subconscious mind, which is connected to the superconscious, or God if you like. That's where your decisions emanate from. But we want to think we're in control, that we're running the show, so we think we do everything with this. 2 plus 2 is 4. No, most of the great things in your life, you didn't figure it out. It was figured out for you. Some of the greatest minds throughout the centuries have talked about universal intelligence, universal mind, how they tapped into that, how they received answers from that. So you too have that within you. You're connected to that superconscious mind, to that God mind, to that universal intelligence. But none of it will do you any good unless when you get those intuitive thoughts, ideas, none of it will do you any good unless you take action on them, unless you get out of the comfort zone, unless you're willing to change, unless you're willing to let go of the old and embrace something new. That's all I have time for today. I hope this has been of help to you. Share it with a friend if you think it will be of value to them. If you would like to get my help personally, marksinspiration.com is my website, or you can contact me directly via email. Join us Saturday night, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time for the Powers Within podcast. We're going to have Lawrence D. Adams on this weekend. We had him last weekend, but we had Wi-Fi problems, so we didn't get to finish the show. But he is a great witness of how to manifest things into your life in relation to achieving your desires and becoming all that you want to become. So I'm out of here. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Step into the unknown.